Good morning, room 15. This is Mrs. Lopez. I am so sorry I wasn't able to read yesterday. For those of you who follow along and read with me every day or listen every day. For those that don't, hey, you didn't miss anything. But today's Friday, yay, May 22nd, 2020. And we're going to go ahead and read chapter 4 and 5 of Mr. Macky is Wacky just to catch us up. All right, let's begin. Chapter 4. Abraham Lincoln's face. Who can tell us something about the real Abraham Lincoln? Miss Daisy asked after Mr. Macky left with his hat and beard. Lincoln rhymes with stinkin', I said. True. Abraham Lincoln's face is on the penny. That's right, said Miss Daisy. Andrea looked all proud of herself. I hate her. He should take that penny off his face, I said. No, Andrea said. I mean, his face is on the penny. How did he hold the penny on his face? Ryan asked. With glue? That's disgusting, said Michael. I wouldn't put glue on my face. He was probably trying to cover up his pimples, I told them. When my big sister has pimples, she won't even go outside. Enough chit-chat, said Miss Daisy, clapping her hands again. Let's look at our crazy pets now. I still say Abraham Lincoln was weird to put pennies on his face. We took out some of the animals out of the cages and looked at them. Ryan told us about his hermit crab. Hermit crabs are really boring. They don't do anything. You can hardly even tell when they die because they do the same stuff dead than they did when they were alive. Nothing. Hermit crabs are weird. Annette told us about her bird. It was boring too because it didn't talk or anything. The only cool birds are the ones that talk. Neil the nude kid told us about his ferret. He said ferret have really bad eyesight and they poop when they get excited. We all said we'd try not to get Mr. Wiggles excited. Everybody thought he was cool, even if he looked sort of disgusting. Emily said she's allergic to the ferret's fur. It makes her cough and rub her eyes. Ferrets are gross anyway, she said. Mr. Wiggles looks like a long rat. I was going to say, so does your face, but Emily would probably run out of the room crying again. Then I'd have to go to the principal's office. Besides, she was right. Mr. Wiggles did look like a long rat. But if you ask me, ferrets are cool. Not as cool as penguins, but still cool. Chapter 5. George Washington's face. We were having fun learning about our crazy pets, but guess who suddenly walked in the door? Nobody, because if you walked into a door, you would hurt your head. But guess who walked into the class? It was some funny-looking guy all dressed up in this fancy army uniform. He had a white wig on his head and a sword in his hand. It's George Washington, Miss Daisy said, all excited. She stood up and gave him a salute. We all knew it wasn't George Washington. It was just Mrs. Rupee, our librarian. She is always pretending to be somebody else. One time, she pretended to be Johnny Appleseed, and she walked around all day with a pot on her head. I still don't understand why you have to wear a pot on your head to plant apples. Mrs. Rupee is loopy. You're not George Washington, we all shouted. You're Mrs. Rupee, the librarian. You must be mistaken, Mrs. Rupee said in a fake low voice. I was the first president of the United States. I cannot tell a lie. I chopped down a cherry tree. I have wooden teeth. See? Mrs. Rupee took out her teeth. It was disgusting. I was glad when she put those gross teeth back in her mouth. Ew. I came to tell everyone that when you come to the library, you'll find lots of books about me and the other presidents too, said Mrs. Rupee. They'll help you prepare for the President's Day oral reports. I wish I could hang around and tell you more, but I must go fight the British." She ran out of the room. "That was totally Mrs. Rupee," Ryan said. After Mrs. Rupee left, Miss Daisy asked, "Who can tell us something about the real George Washington?" "His face is on the dollar bill," said little Miss See How Smart I Am, Andrea. "That's right," Miss Daisy said. Andrea looked all proud of herself. "He should take that dollar bill off his face," I said. "No, I mean his face is on the dollar bill." I knew perfectly well what Andrea meant. I was just yanking her chain. "How could George Washington fight the British with that dollar bill on his face?" I asked. "Yeah," Michael said. "Why didn't he just carry the dollar bill in his wallet like a normal person?" "Enough chit-chat. It's time for reading," Miss Daisy told us. "Let's read a book by my favorite author, Dr. Seuss." She read us a story called Yertle the Turtle. It was pretty cool, but I still say George Washington is weird. All right, guys, until Monday, Chapter 6, It's Hard to Be the President. Have a great weekend.